Hello everyone, it's Benny, and welcome back to the 3D Game Engine tutorial series. Last time, things got a little bit more interesting because now we actually have multiple lights we can play around with our forward renderer. We can have multiple directional lights just by calling the render method again with a slightly different directional light. So in effect, we can have infinite directional lights. Of course, that's not that interesting by itself. Where it gets interesting is in this video, when we add in point lights. Because those are the things you're probably going to want quite a few of. So, let's go back to our shader system. And let's go ahead and create a new document. I'm going to call it forward point.vs. And we're going to create another new document. I'll call it forward point.fs. So, these are going to be the fragment and vertex shaders for point lights. And in order to create these, I'm actually just going to copy from forward directional to start off with, rather than fragment shader. Because we've done most of the work of figuring out the relevant lighting information for one light, well, with the directional light. We're just going to need to change this around a bit so that it's, well, it has code for point lights and not a directional light. Let's see. For the vertex shader, I think this is going to be exactly the same. There's nothing I want to change here, at all. For the fragment shader part of this, though, I do want to change a couple things. For one, there's no directional light here, so not even going to have the structs, or the functions, or the uniforms. So this is sort of like my basic lighting setup, I guess you could say. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Fong fragment shader, and copy the point light. Almost wanted to copy the spotlight for some reason. But no, that's not right. I'm going to copy the point light and have the attenuation and point light structures. So there. Now I have that. And I also want the method for, well, calculating a point light. How much a point light affects us. Or affects an object. Or you know what I mean. And I believe that's just about everything, other than changing this to use calc point light instead. So yeah, I'm going to change this to calc point light. It's going to take in point light, and point light's going to be a uniform. So I want to copy that from Fong fragment. So yeah, first part of this going to pretty much be a repeat of what we've done with, or what we did with the directional light to get the shader for the point light. But don't worry, since we have most of the framework in place from directional light, it's going to go a lot faster. Like right now, we've already finished the shader system, so I can go ahead and close that. And also, for our shader class to go along with it, I can just copy this, and I can paste, and I can rename this to forward point. And that gets me almost everything in this class that I want. So yeah, I'm gonna close out of a lot of things I don't even know why I have open, including the thing I wanted to keep open. Good job. But no, what I want is I want the stuff pertaining to point lights. So that is, I believe, right here. So, except I'm not going to do it in a big giant loop. I'm just going to do it normally. So I'm going to delete that center portion of all of them. And I'm going to make it point light, not point lights, but, you know. Yeah. Whoops. There. So now, we have the uniform of the point light set up. All we have to do now is update it, and not update the directional light, because, you know, we're not using directional lights. And I'm missing something. Haha, right here. Point light. Oh yeah, point light. I want to have that method, or no, it's a method. Gonna replace directional light with that, because we don't need directional light anymore. We're not doing that in this shader. Oh, and almost forgot. Change this to forward point. This is going to be the point light part of our forward rendering system. And come on, where is it? Aha! Set uniform. Oh, well, that's surprisingly easy. I thought that would be a little bit more complicated, but I guess not. Okay, I'm just going to set point light to the point light. And, well, to get rendering engine dot get point light. There. And that should, honestly, be just about everything I need. Other than, of course, the private point light, which I'm going to have the method. Public point light get point light. And that's going to return the point light. There. And that we have point light set up. Unless I've missed something, I'm actually going to double check just to be sure I don't have something in the point light that I didn't have in the directional light. But no, I think that's everything. So great. Let's create a temporary point light and test this out. So going to set point light to new point light. And I completely forgot what the constructor is, so, okay. Takes in a base light. I'm going to shuffle all my stuff around a bit. But yeah, it takes in a base light. I'm going to copy that from the directional light. Yeah, 0.4 is a good number, I suppose. And I'm going to make this one green, because we've already used red and blue. So we've got green now. What else does it take in? Attenuation, okay. So new attenuation of 0, 0, and 1. Well, at least I think that's what it takes in, isn't it? Yeah? Takes in a constant, linear, and exponent. That's exactly what I want. Good. And a position, move vector 3f. I don't know. 5, 0, 0, 5. I don't know. That might be completely off the plane, so you may have to play with that a bit. And range. Set it to 100. I don't care right now. I just want to draw something with our point light. So now I'll say, whoops, almost completely forgot to initialize the shader. So, okay. So now forward, not ambient, point. It's going to equal forward point.getInstance. And I'm going to set the rendering engine, guess what, to this. And now we should be able to just say object.render with forward point, and that should use our point light and draw. So we should have the effect of the point light on there too. And, oh, there it is! Hey, look at that! We've got our point light. What do you know? So cool. It appears we have point lights working as well. Granted, that looks a little bit different than I expected. Like the specular is offset from the light itself somehow. Oh wait, that makes sense, because the specular is supposed to be a reflection of the light. Oh, okay. Never mind. Now that I'm looking at it like that, it looks perfectly fine. I was thinking of it weird for some reason. But yeah. So cool. Look at that. We've got point lights. Isn't that great? Okay, so here's what I did. I created a big, giant list of point lights, and what I'm doing is I'm initializing to like a light field, okay? So I'm doing a big double for loop of the size of the field, and I'm just setting everything to be, all the lights to be in different positions, so it'll be like this big, giant square of light. And what I'm ultimately doing is in the render method, where I go through every light in the list, I set the point light, which is like the active point light, to whatever point light I'm looking at in the list, and then I'm rendering the scene with that particular point light. And that's what I'm doing. And that's sort of a hint as to what is to come. So let's take a look. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah. Look at this. Ooh. My recorder does not like this. But look at it. It's this big, awesome field of green light. Yeah. By the way, this runs fine for me when I'm not recording. It's just, I don't know, my recorder doesn't like it. But still, look at this. I feel like there should be some sort of techno music playing or something. This is awesome. This big field of 25 point lights. No ridiculous arbitrary limits in the shaders. No ridiculous, well, Yeah, no ridiculous, you have to have at least this many lights when you draw. No, we're drawing 27 lights, 25 point lights, 2 directional lights, and we're doing all exactly the right amount of drawing necessary to, well, draw it. No more and no less. And it looks absolutely awesome. You can draw as many point lights as you like this. And feel free to go ahead and play around with my sort of setup on GitHub. I'll be putting my little example light field on GitHub. And hopefully you'll start to see some of the drawbacks of forward rendering when you play around with it, because they start becoming apparent when you have lots of lights. I mean, it's cool to have lots of lights, just, well, forward rendering has some drawbacks with it. And yeah. I don't know, I just think this is awesome. But anyways. Okay, so now let's do spotlights. I'm going to create... Actually, I'm just going to copy point light directly. And this is going to be just like before. It's going to be even faster this time since we've done a lot of the setup with directional and, well, and point. So yeah, this is going to go really fast, comparatively speaking. So forward spot, yeah. And really, this is most of the code with it as well. Because, well, spotlights are mostly like point lights. They just have sort of a range to them. So, in fact, all I really should have to do is I should have to copy the spotlight for one, change this uniform to a spotlight, call it spotlight, and yeah, I'm doing a ridiculous amount of code duplication here. We'll address that in the resource management section. Don't worry. Gonna copy the spotlight because that uses the calc point light internally. And yeah, just want to call calc spotlight here on the spotlight. And boom, all the shader is done. So now I can go over here, take forward point, and yeah, copy and paste. And I'll call this one forward spot, because it's a spotlight. And the big difference here, the only difference really, is it's going to be initializing a spotlight instead of a point light. So yeah, just going to copy all this code. And just like with point lights, I'm going to delete all this internal stuff because I'm not doing this in an array anymore. Whoops, dot. And yeah. Cool. So now I just need the set uniform for a spotlight. And there. Change this to setting... Oh wait, wrong class. Yeah. Don't destroy forward point just yet, that's a bad idea. Yeah, put this in the spotlight one. There we go. Much better. Much better. Okay, so now make this spotlight rather than point light. Now that's what I called it in the shader, isn't it? I just want to be sure. Just want to be careful. It is, cool. Great, I'm going to change that to get spotlight from the rendering engine. And it's going to be just like everything else. There's going to be some variable. Going to be spotlight. I'll call it spotlight. And spotlight is going to equal a new spotlight, taking in a ridiculous amount of parameters, one of which is a point light. So I'm just going to copy this. Come on, any second now. There we go. And all the other parameters. So, we need another direction, new vector 3f, and I'll set this to 0, 1, 1, why not, sure. And some cutoff, which I'll say 0.3. There. And that should be a spotlight. Now I just need, like every other thing, I'm gonna need some getter for it. Public spotlight. I'll say, whoops, nope. Get spotlight. And yeah, I want to return to spotlight, of course. So with that, I should be able to run... Oh, wait, no. Without... I do want to change the color of the spotlight, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to tell the difference. So let's set it to cyan. And let's make it a little bit more intense, like 0.6F. Let's make the attenuation a little bit longer, like 0.5F. Sure. Why not? Just something to differentiate it. So I should see some cyan light in the middle of everything. It's probably here somewhere. I just probably can't see it in the middle of this big, giant field of green lights. So let's try disabling that. Oh, you know what would help? It would help if I actually, rendered the scene with a spotlight. So let's try this again. Let's create a shader. I'll call it... Come on. There we go. Jeez. Forward spot, which is going to equal forward spot.getInstance. And I'm just going to render the scene with that. So, whoops. Object.render with forward spot. There. And that should draw the scene with our new spotlight. Now I should actually see it. Somewhere. Or I could crash. That works too. Could not find spotlight.pointlight.base.color. Interesting. One moment. And it helps if you, load the right shader. So let's load forward spot.vs and forward spot. Dang, now, but I can't select things today. And forward spot.fs, and now it should work. I should see some cyan blurb in there. Nope, okay. Update uniforms, saying null somewhere or another. Ah, I never set the rendering engine, did I? Geez, I'm just forgetting all sorts of things with this. Okay, so forward spot, set rendering engine to this. There. Now, with that, we should finally be able to see a cyan blurb in here somewhere. Anywhere. One of these places. Let's just disable point lights. Yeah, I'm sure it's here somewhere, I'm just not sure where. Okay, maybe I need to change the direction around a little bit. That's okay. So I'll set the direction to 111. Set the cutoff to 1.0. Other than that, sure, everything should be okay. And, why not? I'll leave the attenuation at 1 just in case that's somehow screwing something up. Hey there. After that, I can play around with it a bit. Huh. Okay, that's weird. I'm not seeing this. Do I... Hang on. Is the Y screwing it up again? Do I not need any direction on Y? Somehow? Some way? Wow. That is really, really weird, actually. Yeah, this is really weird. I don't know why this isn't working. Huh. Oh no, it is working. I didn't see it for some reason. So I changed the parameters a bit. I don't know if that was what was screwing it up, but I know these work. So, if I run now, then you notice, hey look, I have a little tiny cyan light. Looks a little bit, well, a little bit low resolution, not entirely sure why that is, but I'll look into that in a moment. I think it's because the attenuation is really sharp. If I change it to like 0.1F, I bet this thing's gonna take off a little bit. Yeah, look at that. Much better. Not perfect, but a lot better. So, excellent. And now I should be able to turn on all my other lights. And if I run, Oh my, look at this. All the different lights working just fine. My recorder still doesn't like it very much, but hey, I'm okay with that. If that's the worst thing I have to deal with all this, I'll take it. So yeah, look at that. Look at that. Everything works out just fine. So, that, my friends, completes our forward renderer. So, in the next video, our goal is going to be really starting to wrap up the engine architecture segment. We're going to start pulling all these things together, making all the things that we have temporary right now be part of the scene graph and whatnot, and we'll take it from there. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned, and I'll see you next time. Look at this. Just look at this. Tell me this does not look awesome. Seriously, look at this. All lit by green lights. All with this. I'm sorry. This just looks amazing to me. I think this looks really and truly awesome.